Blessed evening. Today is August 3rd, 2022. I am Birthmama Sekesa, a community midwife serving the metro Atlanta area. Um, I'm going to be reading to you all again. This is World Breastfeeding Week. Um, it's been a week so far. So I'll be reading to you all again from my book tonight. I took it upon myself to read Love and Lactation. It's 7 days for World Breastfeeding Week. My goal is to read from this book every night this week. So far so good. Um, I've been working on this book for a while. I'm very, very grateful to have it complete. It is now up for sale. It's on my website. I haven't released it to Amazon. As a matter of fact, I won't release this particular edition to Amazon. This is an exclusive edition that is dedicated to a dear friend of mine's, Yolanda Shiphrah Kadima. She was a local birth worker here in the metro Atlanta area. She was a student midwife of mine. She was my very first assistant. She also was a IBCLC International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, a mother, and she was a doula here in the city as well. Her story is detailed here. Her husband did the dedication for this book for Yolanda Shiphrah Kadima. She was the first Black birth worker that I'm aware of to transition in Metro Atlanta area from maternal mortality. And what makes that so significant, if any of you are familiar with birth workers or doulas specifically, we tend to be very knowledgeable. We're rooted in the information about birth choices, birth options. We help other families to create birth plans and select, the best options for themselves, informed decision making, informed consent, self advocacy, bodily autonomy. That's like the foundation of what you learn as a doula, is how to advocate for your client, but you also have to understand how to advocate for yourself. So when you understand that a person with that much information still became a victim of maternal mortality, you also can kind of grasp the gravity of why that's so um, impactful to our community. So the first 200 copies of this book will go, the proceeds from the first 200 copies will go to her foundation. Her husband actually lifted up a foundation in her name. It's called the Yolanda Shiphrah Kadima Foundation. The link will be in the comments below. Please check out the website, donate, to the family. But the goal there is to help curtail maternal mortality in whatever capacity that he and his family feels that they can. And that website is the beginning for them of that particular plight. So this book, again, is dedicated to them. It's for sale on my website. Please check it out. Tonight, I'm going to read to you about the impacts of um, the impacts, the risks. I'm sorry, the risks to a non-breastfeeding baby. Last night, I read to you all about the risks to the non-breastfeeding mother, and then I ran out of time because I really want to make these videos like 15 minutes. So I'm long-winded. But so tonight I want to read to you about the risks to a non-breastfeeding baby. So, alrighty, here we go. All right. So, what we claim as benefits to breastfeeding a baby truly are normal biological processes. Granted, when we come, excuse me just a second, let me turn this down. I got music in the background. I don't want YouTube to take down my video. All right, let me start again. What we claim as benefits to breastfeeding a baby truly are normal biological processes that are granted when we are compliant with nature's design. It is only when we cease to comply with this demand that we face disparities. Similar to the mother, there can be grave consequences for the baby by not breastfeeding and exclusively using infant formula. The National Center for Biotechnological Information, NCBI, reports for infants, not being breastfed is associated with an increased incidence of infectious morbidity, as well as elevated risks of childhood obesity type 1 and type 2 diabetes, leukemia, and sudden infant death syndrome. There, end quote. There is also greater risk of digestive issues such as constipation, colic, reflux, respiratory issues like asthma and allergies, skin irritations such as eczema and infant acne, and slower brain development. I have a box here, a text box here that kind of goes into detail. Milk formula is also a quote, right? This is a quote from The Carbon Footprints Due to Milk Formula, a study from selected countries of the Asia Pacific region. Milk formula are a combination of many industrial manufactured ingredients like milk powder, vegetable oil, high fructose corn syrup, sucrose, and micronutrients, etc. Standard milk formula is a product based on milk of cows or other animals and or other ingredients which have been generally agreed to be suitable for infant feeding, though it is though its inadequacies as an alternative to breastfeeding are well established. Also, powdered infant formula is not a sterile product, even if it has been manufactured to meet current hygiene standards. Chronobacter, woo, y'all forgive me for this one. This is a word. This is a word. Chronobacter sakazaki. Oh, I messed that one up. I know I did. And Salmonella enterica. Enterica? Ugh. It's a quote. It's not my words. Being the pathogens of most concern. So basically, bacteria can get into the formula, okay? And these are concerns. And we know this because one of the main formula production companies what shut down this year that caused us to have a formula crisis because of these bacteria. Formula is not sterile, okay? Let's keep that in mind. It is not a sterile product. Breast milk is sterile. So it comes straight from the source right into the baby unless you pump, which in which case you have to try to sterilize all of the equipment and all the things. But when it's straight from breast to baby, that's a sterile process. So you don't have to worry about bacterial infections, such as the things that we're talking about here that can upset your baby's stomach and make them very, very sick. Continuing. Again, when we allow a naturally occurring process to continue, we reap the benefits. This in no way implies that if a mother chooses to exclusively breastfeed, that she and her baby will completely avoid the above mentioned ailments. There are other biological, environmental, and dietary factors involved. However, the takeaway message here is that exclusive breastfeeding minimizes the risks and grants specific protections to both mother and baby. It is most imperative that Black Americans return to breastfeeding. In the United States, Black Americans have the highest rate of infant loss, SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, childhood asthma, diabetes, and depression. These disparities can carry on into adulthood, and morph into other diseases. When evaluating our health disparities in comparison to other racial groups, it becomes clear that we are being self eliminated through disease and other measures. Breastfeeding has been an intricate part of Black culture for centuries, millennium, millions of years, okay? However long we've been on this planet, that's how long we've been breastfeeding, right? I got centuries in here, but it's millennium, millennia. Where was I? Has been a part. And I would argue that this innate and natural act has directly helped us survive continued attack and oppression in this country. To this truth, it is necessary that Black Americans return to breastfeeding to help secure our sustainable reality in this country. Facts, okay? Pure facts. And so in this book, I also give a diagram here that outlines all the disparities that I just mentioned based on each racial group. And as you see here, this would be Black Americans, the highest rates of these disparities: high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke. We rank the highest in all of those things. And then actually breastfeeding provides protection, a certain layers of protection from many of these diseases that was mentioned in this particular section. So I know that people have said and do say that, you know, they weren't breastfed and they don't have it. I'm a perfect example. I was not breastfed. My mother did not breastfeed neither of her children. And I would like to think of myself as a very healthy individual. However, I also understand that I'll never know the full capacity of what my body could be or who I could be physically if my mother had breastfed me, if I had gotten that human milk. You know, how many colds, flus, and viruses and childhood diseases could I have avoided possibly? Of would they have had less of an impact on me health wise as a child? I had mumps, measles, chicken pox. I had all the things. Okay. And I'd have to date, be incredibly intentional about how I live my life, the things that I eat, um, getting my sleep, all the things. Not to say that if I was breastfed, I wouldn't have to do those things. I think it would still be impactful to my health if I continue to eat right and live a healthy lifestyle. There again, my simple point is in this reality, in this time, I'll never know what the full capacity of who and what I could be physically if my mother had breastfed me. So, that being said, I breastfed all four of my children. I breastfed all four of them until they were at least 18 months, all of them. The goal for the first one was 2 years, but I was pregnant with my second. It wasn't happening. Once I got pregnant with my second, once I became pregnant, I chose to be pregnant with my second child. I knew I didn't want to breastfeed because it was very uncomfortable. So, and actually, he weaned himself. The milk tends to change in flavor, and that's a whole nother conversation. But after my milk changed in flavor, he really didn't like it too much. When you're pregnant, the milk can be a little more salty, and some babies don't mind, some babies do. And he did. He didn't really care for it. So that was actually one of the ways I knew I was pregnant. It's when he was on the breast, like, something ain't right with that. I don't think I want that. So I was like, oh my gosh, let me take a test. And here we are. So as always, I hope I shared something of value. I encourage you to purchase my book. It is full of tools and jewels that can help you in your breastfeeding journey. Even if you are learning to be a lactation consultant, it is filled with information. That's just only a small part of it when we're talking about the risks to the environment, the risks to mom and baby. In this book, we go on to discuss what's actually in the milk, which is something I think I may touch base on tomorrow. The do's and don'ts of breastfeeding. That's a very popular topic of discussion. A lot of times women think that they can't have specific things when they're breastfeeding. And then that chapter helps you understand that you actually have access to much more, many more things than you did food wise and otherwise, beverages as well, more so than you did in pregnancy. um, we continue with the 5 tips to breastfeeding success, solutions for 9 common breastfeeding problems or concerns, rather, and dispelling 19 myths about breastfeeding. So, again, the link is in the comments below. Please purchase a book. The proceeds, as I mentioned, of the first 200 copies will go toward the Yolanda Shiphrah Kadima Foundation, whose also link is in the bio. As always, I hope I share something of value to you or with you. Um, yeah, till next time. Peace and blessings.